back to the Whatnots review show, where every week we have a different story to talk about. Could be a comic book, could be a movie, could be a manga, who knows? We read it, we watch it, we come back here and we talk about it. My name is Kyle Springer and I am joined by Melissa Wilkinson.
Hello.
Melissa, how's your weekend?
It's been good. I think I've made one of the best decisions you can make, which
Ooh,
is to decide to buy yourself ice cream later. Like when I woke up this morning, I'm like,
yes.
I'm going to buy myself ice cream tonight. So then not only do I get ice cream, I get a whole day of looking forward to getting ice cream.
There you go. We bought some ice cream yesterday because we went grocery shopping. We bought like a double chocolate fudge thing, and so yeah, I did not have the excitement of having my first thought of the day being I'm gonna buy some ice cream. But I woke up with the security that I have some already. So the weekend is good. Weekend is good indeed.
Mm,
No, we went out to eat last night and celebrated the fact that I've been out here in our new place for about a month now. It was our month anniversary. So
awesome.
it was good. I had a really good steak. It was this
Ooh.
this like Cajun. It was their Cajun ribeye, but it was this like chili encrusted steak with Cajun seasoning and Cajun butter, and it was maybe one of the best steaks I've ever had in my life. It
Nice.
was really good. It had like the perfect amount of like spice and heat to, to it. So I will be thinking about that steak for a long, long time. It was good. It was so good.
It's good. I'm happy you experienced a dream steak.
Indeed. Indeed. But let's see. Today, here on the podcast, number 203 of the Whatnots review show, we are talking about Deadpool 1 and 2, both
Hmm.
of them. Uh, Believe it or not, this is my first time watching them.
Yeah.
I had not seen them as big of a comic book fan as I am, as big of a comic book movie fan as I
Mm.
am. These are one of the ones I have not seen yet until right now. Um, so I'm excited to talk about these. I think this will be a
Yeah.
blast to talk about. Have you seen both of these
I
before?
had.
Right?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I'd
Okay.
seen both of them in theaters, but I had not watched them in a
Since
home
then.
viewing environment since then. I'd been thinking about revisiting them, especially since Deadpool is eventually going to join the MCU. We are huge MCU followers, and we don't know
Yeah.
when that would happen. But there's speculation that there could be like an Easter egg to him in Multiverse of Madness. We don't know how soon this might kick off. So would you said you had never seen these and pitched these to me. I thought this seems like good timing.
Yeah. Yeah. This is just, it's unfortunate. I feel like that I hadn't seen these because I was excited for that first one. Um,
Mm,
Man, I remember when Ryan Reynolds released the test footage
yeah.
to the first one, which is basically the like first big action scene in the movie. There, it was a little bit different back then, but I remember that, and that got me so hyped. I was like, "This looks good." Like I, I have to say, and I have to admit, I'm not a big Deadpool fan. In the comics,
Mhm.
I haven't really read much of him, and what I have read, I've just been like, he's not really for me, not my sense
Yeah.
of humor and stuff like that. But it was like we live in a time where Marvel is getting their characters right on screen, and
Mhm.
so it's just exciting to see that this character might have a movie made and it might actually be good and it not be the
Yeah.
abomination that was on that one Wolverine movie.
Mhm.
um and so yeah, I was excited for that first one, and then it came out, and then I just never went to go see it. I don't know. I just it just didn't happen. And then the sequel came out, and by that point, I was like, well, I haven't seen the first one, so I can't watch this one yet. And then, yeah, here we are. But this has been on my list of shame for a while. So I'm glad I watched these. I had a fun time with them.
Yeah.
I am excited now for the third one. I know they are working on a third one. I don't know how far along they are in that, but there's been some discussion of that hey, they're letting us keep the R rating even if we go to Disney and all that stuff. We'll do this, we'll do that. But I thought these were just solid. Like, I thought these were fine and good. I had a good time. Yeah. I do have to say, I thought these were maybe a little overrated. But I do think that the second one was also a big step up in most ways from the first one. Which again leaves me super excited for the third one, because if they can continue that forward momentum, then I think this third one will be pretty damn good. So looking forward to that. But yeah. So what's your thoughts on Deadpool?
You're right. They're fun. They're not remarkable to me. I don't know. Like, it's not all of it is my sense of humor. I have laughs throughout the movie, but I'm not laughing for 2 straight hours. I think they are very solid action comedies, even if the comedy isn't always in your wheelhouse. I can't objectively tell. That's a very cool action scene. And I know it's very easy to tell how much care there is put into this movie. You know, this is a character Ryan Reynolds cares a lot about. He's very sincere in everything he's doing. He's having a great time. And I think the fun that went into making the movie, bringing it to life, does come across when you are watching it. Like, I am happy. I'm happy these exist, that these get to exist in the ways that these creators wanted them to exist. That they didn't have to pull any punches to bring Deadpool to life.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's like, that is one of the spectacles of this film, is just how, like, knowing how hard Ryan Reynolds campaigned to make this and make it right. And it worked. It worked, and it's just like, man, this is so good that, like, he got this completed and made, and we have this thing now. But yeah, like I said, Deadpool is just not really my favorite character, not really attracted to that kind of humor and fourth wall breaking kind of meta humor. I don't mind it every now and then, but I think there's just this, like, unrelenting over the topness that's in a weird way. It's not the right word I'm looking for, the right descriptor, but there's this kind of, like, this kind of bro sense of humor to it, if that makes, like, that's not exactly the right word. Like, but you kind of get what I'm getting at. It's very crass.
You could call it obnoxious. I certainly understand why people would not enjoy Deadpool, or would find somebody who's very into Deadpool a little obnoxious. But I think the movies are, if you accept their premise, if you accept their tone, they're well executed for what they are. There's some cinema craft here, and the movies are surprisingly sincere. Like, he's got this love story in the first movie with this woman who is on his level. Like, they really made a character who stands up there with Deadpool, with Wade Wilson, who shares a sense of humor, who's a real character in her own right. And that is a very emotional romance. It's got moments of poignancy in it, really drives that first movie, carries through to the second movie. I think that is what I do enjoy about these movies the most, is that they set aside time for all Deadpool's heart, the emotions of these characters, and this ragtag bunch of friends he has around him. They are his friends. He cares about Tupinder a lot.
I loved Dupinder. He was fantastic. I think he was one of my favorites.
Mm.
um, yeah, I think the movies have a great cast of
Yeah.
characters. I think to bring in especially in the first one, a familiar character like Colossus. That even if you didn't really stick with the X-Men movies, I'm sure you remember him from the first ones because he was in those first X-Men movies. And then to bring in a new character like Negasonic Teenage Warhead and all that, and it's just a whole mouthful. But yeah, like they just to have Blind Owl there, and I don't remember the dude's name who runs the bar.
Me either.
Weasel or something like that. It was it was something like I remember saying that on the subtitles as I was watching it, but like it just like he has a great supporting cast, and I think despite him being sort of this anti-hero villain kind of character, I think what is surprising to not only me but to a lot of people is just how much heart there is in this film. Like you said, and that by the both in the first one, but I think especially in the second one, there is this really emotional story at the core there, and I think that's really what makes the character in these movies especially. So bravo to the team that has made these first two films, because they are nailing it. So
they are,
good stuff. So let's do, I guess, plot synopsis of both of these films. I'm not sure how that exactly works for spoiling not spoiling things, but let's do it. So the first one, we do start out with Deadpool already being Deadpool, but then in a series of flashbacks, you get to see how he got turned into Deadpool. How he fell in love, got cancer, went to get this mysterious treatment that said it would cure him, which ended up being the Weapon X program, even though I don't think they really mentioned it in that movie there. But he goes through this mysterious treatment, which turns him into a mutant, and it gives him a healing factor, and I think he has like heightened senses or something like that.
And he was already a trained soldier and mercenary to begin with. He was already a very skilled fighting machine.
And so the kind of remainder of this movie is this revenge tale of Deadpool trying to get back at the people that did this to him, and at the same time, like trying to get that out of the way so he can get back to his girl, who he has not seen in a number of years now, because he kind of left in the middle of the night and was just like, well, I'm gonna go deal with this thing. And that's kind of the first one. Like I said, we meet some of the X-Men in there. They're like, where do we
meet two X-Men? Which is a joke in the second movie, that he's like, why do I never see anybody around here but you?
Why can we not afford more of the famous ones? So that's what happens in the first one. And the second one picks up with the romance kind of continuing between him and his girlfriend. What's her name?
Vanessa.
Again? Vanessa. Yeah, that's right. Just like Kingpin. So he's back into his relationship with Vanessa, and unfortunately in this second movie, she gets killed. There's a group of like mysterious military sounding looking people that come and attack Wade Wilson in his home. And in the midst of beating all of these people up, he knocks one guy's arm just a little bit to the side so that when they fire, it hits her instead. And yeah, so now he's again on another kind of revenge tale to figure out who did this and all that to him. But it sets him on this path that then he ends up meeting this kid. he wants to. Well, let me rephrase that. Because of the revenge tale, which he cleans up real fast here in this one. Now, without his lover, he kind of wants to die, but he can't because of his healing factor.
And she comes to him in these when he tries to kill himself and he's in this between world where he's not completely back to life yet. She appears to him in these visions and she's like, you need to open your heart. Like there's something you have to do. She's like giving him these assignments from beyond the grave.
Yeah. And so he's trying to interpret them. And it kind of leads him to this kid that he wants to save, who is this mutant with these fire powers. And he seems to be in a real bad spot. He seems to be in some kind of like experimental prison lab thing.
He's in this like home, this orphanage where the operators of the orphanage are very, very anti-mutant and are trying to cleanse the children of their mutant abilities.
Yeah. And Deadpool kind of interprets this kid as the one that he needs to protect and save and open his heart to and stuff like that. So that sets him on this path of basically trying to help this kid who ends up also kind of being one of the main antagonists of this second film here. And of course, we also have Cable in this film, who is back from the future. He has traveled back in time and is trying to kill this kid that Deadpool is trying to save, because when the kid grows up, he's an evil mutant that kills Cable's family. So
your classic Looper scenario.
Indeed, yeah.
It's amazing that your list of shame included 2 movies where a guy goes back to the past to kill a child who will in the future kill his wife and family.
I mean, on one hand, it's like, I like time travel movies. On the other hand, I don't want to kill kids.
Right? Yeah, unfortunate that often comes up in a time travel movie.
Yeah, indeed. But yeah, so those are kind of the plot synopses of these 2 films here. Like I said, I didn't think they're solid action films. Great cast. I laughed a bunch throughout the films. But I think personally, I thought the films were maybe a little overrated from what everyone had been hyping up to me, or like the culture around these ones here. But I still enjoyed them a lot. So
yeah,
there you go. Well, yeah, I think that is about all I have to say that is spoiler free on that stuff. So let's go into housekeeping, and when we get back, we can dive into spoilers and all of that fun stuff. So we will be right back. We put a lot of hard work into the shows that we make, and yes, we make multiple different shows here at The Whatnots, and we'd love it if you check them all out. You can find out more information on our website at thewhatnots.com, as well as your favorite podcasting platform of choice. When you type in The Whatnots, all of our shows will pop up right there. Just don't forget to give us a nice rating and review if you like the shows. If you want to support what we do here at The Whatnots, patreon.com/thewhatnots is the best place to do that. You can support us for as little as $1 a month. You can get all kinds of exclusive content at the $3 tier. You can also get a shout out and a thank you on all of our shows at the $5 tier. You can support us on Twitch by subscribing to our channel at twitch.tv/thewhatnots, and we would love to have you all join us for our live streams and talk with us in the chat. And lastly, we have merch. If you'd like to grab yourself a shirt or a sweatshirt or a mug or something else, go to thewhatnots.com/store to pick up some merch today. And we are back. A big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters. Thank you. Thank you a lot for supporting us. It means a ton. We appreciate it. Let's see some cool things that we've been up to here at the Whatnots. We are getting ready to go see Doctor Strange. That is coming out this week, so be on the lookout for our reaction, our spoiler cast to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. That will be coming out later this week. Also be on the lookout for our reactions, our part 2 reactions to Moon Knight. Because we are, it's gonna be a busy week here this week at the Whatnots. Lots of stuff to talk about. Both of those will be on the Reactor Core, so you guys can pay attention to that feed. Keep that down the road there. Melissa, on the Captain's Log, we played a really fun game this week called X-Files or bullshit. Can you explain what that was?
It's your standard podcast game format.
Yep.
Every podcast plays this game. And in my case, I was giving you episode descriptions for the X-Files, and some of them were real and some of them were ones I made up. Because I'm a huge fan of the show, and I wanted to talk about how many weird one-off Monster of the Week episodes this show has.
Yeah.
And see if you could figure out which ones actually happened and which were only in my heart and mind.
Indeed. That was a fun one. And we had Ignacio from Crossplay surprise us and join us for the second half of the show. So that was good and fun. That was on the Captain's Log. And then for Crossplay, our video game podcast, while it might have, we're kind of in the midst of like a slow news period, slow video. Like there's no big major releases happening right now, so we are kind of diving into our backlogs and things like that. But I played this game recently called Norco, which was incredible. It was a point-and-click adventure set in Norco, Louisiana, in the near future. Hint of cyberpunk stuff happening there, but it is
a setting I've never seen cyberpunk applied to. Right?
Yeah. But it is this kind of like surreal noir tale that's really, really cool. If that game is not in my top 3 of the year, then something went wildly wrong. So that game was fantastic.
We're wildly right. Who knows what masterpieces will come out in the rest of the year.
Indeed, but that game was fantastic. So please go check that stuff out as well. But that's about it for housekeeping. So let's dive into spoilers. All right. Deadpool. Start with Deadpool 1. Right off the bat, this I think is maybe one of my biggest observations of Deadpool 1. This movie reminds me a lot of Emperor's New Groove.
Yes.
I just
I understand.
In the way that he is narrating both of
Yes.
these movies is the
Yes.
exact same way that David Spade narrates his character of Emperor Kuzco in The Emperor's
Yes.
New Groove. I can't unhear it. I can't unsee it. It's the exact same thing. It's the like, so I guess you're wondering how I got here, right? And it's like, so then let's focus on me.
Which is-
Let's go back into right.
Right, which is something that a lot of movies do. But yeah, I think Emperor's New Groove is one of the standout ones. And it does have that meta approach. Like one of the most top-notch jokes out there when they're chasing each other and you see them on the map with the little dotted lines, and at one point they turn around behind them and they see the dotted line.
Yeah. It's also like something like, I guess Emperor's New Groove is not fourth wall breaking and meta in its comedy, but it also has a very similar kind of comedy, like approach to comedy, I feel like, whereas Deadpool might be on the more like crass end of that is the word that you used there. Like it's of the same elk, I feel like, if that makes sense. Like
I see the comparison you're drawing. And
I
like
don't know.
structurally,
Yeah.
structurally the movies are kind of similar. That is something that stood out to me about the first Deadpool, that it starts we start with that battle like on the highway, and then we keep cutting back to him with Vanessa, and then we cut forward to like when he's got the powers. Like the first hour of the movie sort of jumps us back and forth in time a lot. And I don't know if that structure totally worked for me, but I guess I appreciate that it isn't a straight linear A to B structure. Like they tried something.
Yeah. Yeah. In hindsight, I feel like the first Deadpool movie is pretty bog standard, if that makes sense. Like it's in terms of like, if you want to compare this to like other impressive action films or action comedies or just comedies in general, I feel like this just, it hits the mark on all of them of like, this is good, this is solid, but it's not outstanding in
it's a 7 out of 10 on all fronts. Yeah.
There certainly are some good laughs, but I feel like I've laughed harder in other Marvel movies that maybe I wouldn't necessarily even consider a comedy, but it just, because of the Marvel formula, has like, I don't know. But
something I want to say about the first movie is that it's very gray. Like that battle on the highway has some cool action choreography, and I like the opening shot with the credits over it, where it's like the freeze frame of him in the car fighting these guys, and it like orbits around. Like that's neat, but it's just taking place on like sort of an overcast day. Like it's a movie that really does not have a lot of color in it. And I'm very happy they stepped that up for the second movie. The second movie is more vibrant, more colorful. It's not as visually exciting as like Guardians of the Galaxy or something like that, but it is a step up. Particularly in that opening the 9 to 5 montage where we just see all these different action scenes briefly. He's fighting in like a Tokyo bathhouse. It is a very cool set. We're only there for like 1 minute. I'm like, that's neat. I'm happy you put effort into these scenes that we're going to see only very briefly.
Yeah. I guess I didn't really notice the lack of color in the first one. I'm wondering though if that was a choice to make Deadpool stand out more, like to make these colorful characters stand out more.
But he's not like bright fire truck red. He's not burgundy, but he's not bright red either.
But he's not desaturated, right? Like what you might see in like
this
the
isn't
DC.
Yes. The costumes are middling in how bright they are. Maybe not the X-Men, because when we see Negasonic Teenage Warhead, she's very
Bright
bright.
yellow.
I
Yeah.
wore my black and gold today in honor of the X-Men. I
There
hope
you
you
go.
noticed. Uh, it's the lighting. Like the entire movie takes place on this overcast day. And I'm very sensitive to lighting. I'm like, I need like higher contrast than this. I need sunshine or I need like storm clouds. I don't like to spend too
That makes
much
sense.
time at this space in the middle.
That makes sense. Yeah. But yeah, they definitely did step it up in the second one. Yeah, that one set that like neon, it's just like the neon signs and the club that they're
Yeah.
in to the bathhouse. Yeah, there's all that. There's I think just the mix of powers, or when you see Cable like messing with his guns, and it has the holographic displays and like all of that stuff. Yeah, there is more to it, right? You get that mahogany once you're inside the X mansion.
Yes.
All of that stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff there.
Yeah, the limited cast that they have, which they do joke about, almost lets the mansion itself be a little bit more present. Like there's fewer people on screen, so you get to spend more time looking at the hallways of Xavier Mansion, which is kind of nice. Beautiful grounds. I like that set a lot in every film it appears.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. Like I feel like this first one, really like I like what it did for this character, and I'm trying to imagine in my head what they're gonna do with this third film. Because that I think is maybe to me the most interesting thing coming out of these films here, is that I think with the second one it definitely was a big step up, and now I'm trying to picture how this is going to tie into the bigger MCU as a whole. And it did, who knows, because they're I don't know. Like I'm just excited is the thing. Like that is one of the best things about these two films that I can say, is that even though they maybe necessarily weren't for me, they've definitely gotten me more interested in them and more excited for them.
Yeah. I do like that they are very unexpected. Like you really don't know like that end credit sequence of Deadpool 2 where he travels through time and like corrects Ryan Reynolds' career mistakes.
Yeah.
You can't see that coming. And I think to introduce that into the MCU, and maybe we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves, because I feel like this is what we would end the episode with, but nah, let's just do it here now.
Whatever.
That is exciting, especially because we're getting into these multiverses. We just said, Doc Ock and everybody showing up in Spider-Man. We're going to crack the multiverse open with Doctor Strange, and he's going to fight several other different Doctor Stranges. And to have this character that is and there have been meta nods in the MCU, like the mysterious appearance of Evan Peters as Ralph Boner, which we all thought was going to introduce the X-Men, and then it doesn't. But then we were like, is there some longer game? Are we coming back to Ralph Boner at any time? Does this have a larger meaning?
When will the boner return?
Rise of the boner! To introduce this character that is fourth wall breaking in a world where we have characters like the Watcher is very interesting to me. Like we have this grand celestial omnipotent being who can see through all these different realities, and to have that in the same world as a guy who just knows he's in a movie. And that's not one of his powers. This is going to sound very dumb, but I like realized this morning when I was brushing my teeth. Like the specific Deadpool like meta knowledge and fourth wall breaking, like that's not like a power he has. His power is this healing factor, and he's very skilled in fighting. Nobody trained him. No like cosmic force broke his head open and revealed to him he was in a movie. He just does. And it's not like this is a question. This is like asking, why can Scooby-Doo talk? It doesn't matter. but I'm still like, he's the only one who can do this. Nobody else does this. It's only him. Is the MCU could take that into some, they could put meaning onto it if they wanted to. And I think that possibility is exciting. And especially to introduce this meta character this far, like
Yeah.
30 films into the MCU. I would hope that when we get to see him, it's a little less crass. It like, and it leans more into the meta side of his humor, which also could get obnoxious. But I'd be interested to see what they would do with it.
I want both. I think
Mhm.
this is now. So one of the things that we've also wanted for the MCU for a long time was a solo Hulk film, one that it like actually is in the MCU, not like has one foot in the door, but the rest of it is really not right. Like we have the
right, and I
Edward
think
Norton
the
one, but
Incredible
that's the
Hulk,
one that's like
it was, and then they're like, never mind.
yeah.
It had 2 feet in, and then they're like, no, how about you scoot back a little bit?
But then they also don't necessarily have the movie rights to a solo Hulk film, so they
Yeah.
can't really make a new one of their own. So it's a weird thing. So I would love for them to give me a third Deadpool film that is just as crass and disgusting and raunchy, like all that stuff for his own solo stuff. But I would also kind of like him to be a character that just kind of shows up as a supporting cast for a scene or two in other people's movies.
That.
Where when he shows up in those, it is more meta, fourth wall breaking that way. Because that could lead for some interesting stuff. Because I feel like if they go the route where let's just like play up the fact that he is this kind of meta character, right? That sure, it can be what he does, but I feel like the character is out of place if they had like if it's like if the Deadpool and the multiverse of madness, right? Like if that was his thing, it just like I mean, okay, I guess like but I feel like that fits more for Doctor Strange. But if he was to show up in Ant-Man and the Wasp and make some comment and has some scene where they do this, and then Deadpool goes into the MCU writers room and kills one of the writers, and then like
he steals
fixes the script, yeah, and like fixes the script so that like one thing happens in the movie, like that would be neat, or stuff like that. But then
that's a great idea. Like these people have their backs against the wall. They're like, we don't know how to get out of this problem.
She's like, I got this. Yeah.
Can you break the reality? Can you go outside of the movie and change the script for the movie?
But how cool would it be? Remember when we watched The Leftovers on HBO Max? What if it does something like that, where it's like zooms out and they're on the movie set and he just like walks over, he's like, all right. He's like, Kevin, my buddy, my pal, like we need to change this here.
The landscapers?
Yes, yeah, the landscapers, not the leftovers. Thank you. But yeah, how it like did this like fourth wall, like breaking, like they physically walked from one set of the movie to another, and you saw like the camera crew and stuff like that. How interesting would that be for like a like one or two scenes here and there in the MCU to get that like fourth wall breaking stuff? But then in his own film, he can still do stuff like that, but does have the more like, here's the dick jokes and here's all the poop jokes and here's all, here's all that stuff. Yeah, like I feel like that would be a good way to take the character down the road, but I don't know.
I really like what you said about seeing him as a supporting player in a group scene.
Yes.
He steals the show as the star of the movie. It is Deadpool's movie. He runs the entire thing. He literally speaks directly to you. And the second movie is him learning to be a team player. It even ends with them playing "We Belong Together" as he's formed this family unit. I
Yeah.
would like, as his character arc grows, he's like, I don't have to lead this mission. You know, I don't have to be the guy in charge. I'll just be a supporting player. Like I'm just here in the office with Luis and the Baba Yaga guy. I'm just helping. I'm a
Yeah.
helper, and he
Yeah.
can acknowledge it. Like, look at my character arc. Look to where I don't have to be the star. No, no, no. I'm Deadpool here. I'm eighth on the call sheet. And you know what? I'm okay with that.
There you go. Okay, back to Deadpool 1 here. So what did you think of this whole like cancer treatment facility that he goes to here? Um it in my mind, that is Weapon X. That is kind of in the comics where he gets his powers. That's where Wolverine got his powers, all that stuff. Um I don't I don't think they really mentioned that it was the Weapon X program in this, or if that's even what they were thinking this was going to be. I don't know if this actually is Weapon X, right? Without them mentioning it.
Mm. I wasn't paying that close attention to whether this is Weapon X literally or not.
See,
I just
I'm looking
presumed in
for
my
all the like
mind, I'm
Marvel
like,
Easter eggs and
yeah, I'm
stuff
like,
like
this is
that.
Weapon X adjacent. These movies are
Sure,
packed
yeah.
full of Marvel Easter eggs with like
Mhm.
creator names. Like so many little names of things or names you see on signs or on the literal Deadpool chalkboard in the bar are
Yeah.
writer and artist names, which
Yeah.
I appreciated. I feel like these movies sometimes as part of the meta acknowledgement and sometimes not. They have a greater amount of creator nods in them than most other comic book movies.
Yeah. I know the Spider-Man films are good about that too, to name streets and stuff
That's
after
good, yeah.
creators. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, so like I don't know, because I was kind of expecting them to dive into that a little bit, or to have like some kind
Mhm.
of Wolverine like cameo or nod to that. Like, oh man, you should have seen
Yeah,
the
yeah.
claws we put on the last good guy here, um, or something like that. But I also on the other hand, kind of like that they didn't try and root this so hard into like, oh, this has to be in the
Yeah.
X-Men universe, right? That it was this kind of nondescript, generic version of what
Mm.
we can probably assume was Weapon X, right? It's the Walmart knockoff version of
Yeah, oh,
Weapon X.
yes. Yeah, Kirkland's signature Weapon X.
Yeah, indeed. Um, but I like that. I think also though speaks to maybe why I think this movie is just kind of okay. It's solid, right?
Mm.
Whereas
Yeah, that
everything from that point on continues to kind of just feel generic.
yeah. That villain isn't particularly exciting. There aren't as many exciting set pieces in the first movie. Like I
Mhm.
said, it's visually slightly more drab. Uh, but I think the romance is the outstanding part of the first movie. I do
Yeah,
like Vanessa. I like she is you really understand why her and Wade love each other. That they have similar senses of humor. They have similar attitudes.
yeah, yeah. They make a great couple for sure. Um, and yeah, like that is the thing. Like I hate to say it, kind of, but it feels like the first movie is really just set up for the second one.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
that is that I think is the Deadpool movie that maybe Ryan Reynolds had in mind, of like, this is the
Mm.
goal, like this is where we want to get, but to get there we need to
Mm.
do X, Y, and Z first. And I think that's also kind of displayed in the end credits scene of that first movie where
Mm,
they do the oh, you're still here? Like you thought we would like
yeah.
spoil the second movie? He's like, no, we're not gonna do that. But Cable will be in the second one, right? Like
Right.
that was like I don't know when along the timeline of making this first movie they knew that there was going to be a second
Mhm.
one, or they put that in the hopes that they'd be like, Cable, tell me more. Here's money. Let's make this second movie, right? Like I don't know what the situation was there, but the movie also has this sort of confidence about it that I
It
really
does.
admire. Uh, that I think, yeah, stands out once you get to the second
Mhm.
movie here. That is just like they had the confidence to be like, yes, Cable will be in the sequel. That's it. End of the movie right there, right? And that's kind of hard to do these days when you don't know if something is going to get a sequel or if your studio is going to be
Mhm.
okay or who knows what.
And
There's
I
all
think
sorts of
it wound
factors.
up being like one of the biggest R-rated movies ever released, the first Deadpool. Like I think it did
Yeah,
very well. Thank goodness. I'm glad this gambit paid off.
yeah. Um,
Gambit and the small G Gambit, not capital G Gambit. He's not here.
not the one from the X-Men. But I think it also did so well because this was like right at the height. I feel like I should say height, but right at the start of the height of the MCU craze. Um,
When was the height? Difficult
right,
to say. I think the first
exactly.
one
We're
came
still
out
super hyped
in
for stuff
I think
now.
it came out in 2016, the first one. And
Mhm.
the second one came out in 2018, like within a month or two of Infinity War, which was
Yeah,
remarkable that like twice that summer we got Josh Brolin playing a major comic book character and
indeed.
a major Marvel comic book character.
Indeed. But yeah, so that first one though, like I think people, especially mainstream movie goers or parents of kids that were into some of these Marvel
Mhm.
movies, still hadn't wrapped their head around all of these comic book movies yet, or comic books in general. Because I
Mhm.
saw and read so many stories about parents taking their kids to go
Oh,
see Deadpool and walking out because they didn't know that it was R rated or all of it and that, and just like, oh, how can he say such things? All the pearl clutching and stuff like that. And it just, it's kind of, it's really funny to me that stuff like that happened of just like, so you thought all comics are for kids? You thought
right.
all like superhero stories are for like where did
You
like did
you
have
didn't
you
look
just
this
not
up. You
been
just went
paying
to the
attention?
theater,
Yeah.
pointed at a poster of a man wearing a mask and said, "Surely this is family-friendly fun."
Right, yeah. uh but yeah, that I think also in a weird way contributed to the success of this film. Not to suggest that it was like riding on the coattails of the MCU, but in a weird way, like I feel like it kind of was like a tiny
Mhm.
bit more successful than it was there.
Mhm.
But like we've mentioned, no, I think the real success is Ryan Reynolds pushing this
Mhm.
as far
Yeah.
as he did there. And bravo to him for
Yes.
making this work.
His excitement really comes through on screen, and he's a really compelling performer, even when like his face is completely covered in this prosthetic makeup. He has no eyebrows. He looks very different. I was looking at like Wade, just like regular unmasked Wade, and I'm like, yeah, he's not handsome, which is remarkable. A remarkable thing for Ryan Reynolds to do, to not be handsome. And then when
He's
he's got the mask on and he like you can just sort of vaguely see facial movements like from underneath the mask. It's like I still get a lot of emotion out of this mask, like his voice. could just carry that much of a performance.
Wade Wilson is he's I want to still say he is handsome, but handsome in the way that he used to be handsome. If that makes sense. Like you could say it's like,
Sure.
look, dude, you're like, there's something, you got like a pepperoni pizza face here. You got the Pizza the Hut look. But it's like I could see it. 10 years ago, man, you would have been a lady killer, right? Like
your features are still symmetrical. You still have powerful eyes.
Indeed. Which is an interesting way to think about the character, because you are supposed to be like, whoa, dude, what's up with your face? You are one ugly looking motherfucker. Like, and he's not per se still, like he is, but he isn't. It's still like I can still see it. Like,
yeah, I think about the first Fantastic Four movie, the Owen Gruffeld one from like 2004. I know Chris Evans is now the largest star in that movie, but I'll always know it as the Owen Gruffeld one, where the Thing tries to go back to his fiance and she takes one look at him and she's like, no, and like takes her ring off and throws it at him and leaves, and we never see her again.
God,
like she cannot handle the physical transformation to the point where there's no conversation about it. There's no goodbye. She throws the ring and leaves. Whereas Vanessa and like Wade is so self-conscious. Like she takes off the mask and he's got the Sexiest Man Alive magazine cover of Hugh Jackman stapled to his face. And then she takes that off and he looks like him and she says, this is a face I would be happy to sit on.
Which is so that scene is also really funny when he has the Hugh Jackman picture stapled on his face. Back when I was younger, me and my friends would try and make these like home movies and stuff like that, of just like these stupidest things that like none of them made sense. We thought they were brilliant and hilarious and all this stuff, and they were just garbage. But we had one that was this horror movie about a serial killer that escaped from the local insane asylum and all this stuff, and we did this thing. The serial killer was named the King, and it was a printed out mask of the King from Burger King. And that was the serial killer. And then we unmasked him. And the joke that we had when we unmasked him was almost the exact same thing, that underneath the mask of the King was a mask of Shaquille O'Neal, but with the eyes and the mouth cut out. So yeah, like we did stupid, dumb stuff like that. And that is as much as Deadpool is not a character for me, I can sometimes relate to him and his sense of humor when when he does stupid shit like that. I'm like, I've done that. Like that was me and my friends. Like that was the stuff we thought of. And here is a grown ass mid 30s like year old Deadpool doing the same thing there. And it's just like, okay, good on you. Thumbs up. I approve.
I also like the touch that because of his healing factor, he's like, I'll just staple it to my face. It won't be a problem.
Absolutely.
I want to use this Hugh Jackman mask as a springboard to talk about the homoeroticism of Deadpool. How he's very aware and very vocal about how handsome other men are.
Did he make any kind of comment in the movies? I don't remember. Not one that is taken as a joke, but one that suggested he was bisexual.
Not in so many words, but I feel like that energy comes across Like
I
he's very
I don't remember if he.
flirtatious with other male characters. And in the final scene where he's talking to Vanessa beyond the grave at the end of Deadpool 2, which are these really beautiful scenes. I love how those scenes are shot and lit, where she's like
Yeah,
sitting in a chair by the window in this bright sunlight that is almost like heavenly bright and like oversaturated. It really neat stuff there. I like that portrayal of this liminal afterlife space. But she's dead. She's not coming back. He's coming back to life. And before he leaves, he says, "Okay, don't fuck Elvis." And she's like, "All right, don't fuck Colossus." And he says, "What?" And then he steps back into life. Like this is the first time anybody's ever called him on this, and he's like, "Uh, yeah, I guess I am sincere in
I
that."
yeah, 'cause I want to say that there was a line in there that was not played as a joke that did suggest he was bisexual, but I don't know if that's just me projecting and me like not remembering exactly. But you're right. There is enough of that in there that you could ship it if you want. I know there's a lot of comics out there and stuff where he is like pining after Spider-Man and
Yes, yeah,
trying to
that's
make
what
out
I
with him.
remember. When he first well, I know he's a character from like the 80s or the 90s, but in like the late
90s, yeah,
2000s, early 2010s, where he like really splashed on the scene. That is what I remember. That he
or
was
at
like
least
kind of
splashed
another
on
street level.
Tumblr. Yeah.
Yeah, he was just another street level hero in New York City who was often paired with this is an adult Peter Parker, or at least like a college age 20 something Peter Parker. And like they had a flirtation. Yeah, he very clearly had a crush on Spider-Man. That was one of the first things I knew about Deadpool. He's like, oh, so meta, so wild, tells it like it is, loves chimichangas, always flirting with other men. Like that's been part of the Deadpool package as long as I've been aware of Deadpool.
Like Spider-Man's butt.
Right. And I think uh it is part of the jokes, but the jokes are never at the expense of this. Like I don't think it's a homophobic movie in any
Mhm.
way. I think it's more commenting on this behavior is part, and in addition to the flirtation, like he also loves a lot of these traditional feminine or queer icons like Dolly Parton, Cher, Celine Dion,
Yeah.
Bernadette Peters. In one scene, he's wearing a Rent t-shirt and there's no
Yeah.
comment or joke about it. Like
Yeah.
he apparently just loves Rent, keeps his money in a wallet with Bernadette Peters' face printed on it. Like, did you get this custom made? Where is this from? You know, like he loved Cher and Dolly Parton. He mentions Wham and then also specifically George Michael. Talks
Yep.
about David Bowie. Like this and the flirting are, it's like part of the chaos energy of his character, but not in a way that he is mocking any of these
Right.
things. It's more like saying, uh, isn't this unexpected? Not like, isn't this bad? Isn't this silly? Isn't this foolish? It's like, this is surprising, isn't it? You wouldn't normally see your macho big action hero do this, but I can do it. Look, I'm having fun. I love these things. It's, I'm happy to love these things. And nobody ever makes fun of him for these. Nobody makes fun of his love for, like his girlfriend kind of pokes fun at him a little bit. Like, you keep your money in a Bernadette Peters coin purse. This is our fund saving up for our future life together. But yeah, she doesn't make fun of the fact that he's like, we should give our baby one name like Cher.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. I like that about the character. I don't see him. Yeah, like I wonder though if it's also true at the same time, right? Because I think I read the scene where like that last scene where she's like, "Don't fuck Colossus," and he has that like scared look of like, what? Because he's been like, it's been like the movie has set up that these visions, these kind of times in this afterlife like space is kind of a thing that he has to interpret, that like it is some kind of vision, it is some kind of dream like state, right, where
Mm,
he needs to interpret what she's saying. So her
mm.
saying something as blatant as "don't fuck Colossus" is him just like, "Wait, what? Like what? Like what do you mean by that? Like what other meaning could there be to "don't fuck Colossus"?" Right? Like he's like I
Yeah.
feel like he's genuinely
Yeah.
confused by that statement.
But it's not, he doesn't react with like disgust. The idea of him
Right? Yeah.
fucking Colossus isn't gross to him. It's just sort of like, you're right. He's a little confused. He may be like joking about it and still figuring out like, am I literally attracted to Colossus?
But
Am I literally attracted to Hugh Jackman?
he's also a character that I feel like if the story called for him having
Mm,
sex with Colossus, he would do it for the
yes.
story, not necessarily because that's his sexuality or anything like that. Like that's I feel like the kind of character he is.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, there is this like, do we read the scene that way? Do we read the scene this way? I don't know, but yeah, it's open for interpretation. I feel like
Yeah.
so.
I feel like these movies mark an interesting turning point in normalizing for guys the fact that you can be open and proud about, like, I think that other man is handsome. I wouldn't say I'm attracted
Yeah,
to him, but I can recognize that man is objectively a hunk. Or I love the Golden Girls, unironically. I love
yeah,
Celine Dion. Like, I think Deadpool comes in at this time where doing this is being more it's acceptable, but it's still not quite normalized yet. It's not as common. And so he's able to do it without shame or embarrassment or jokes, but it still is included as part of the, oh, that wild Deadpool. You never know what he's going to do.
yeah. Which is also interesting to think about because I don't, since I haven't read much of Deadpool comics or
Mhm.
stuff like that. I don't know if the character started out like that. Um, or if that's just something the character grew into. Like
Mm.
if they did, it's just like kind of a natural route to, like you said, this chaotic nature of the character of
Mhm.
doing stuff like that, and like the weird leftovers of like mid 2000s humor where there
Mhm.
was some kind of like gay humor
Yeah.
subtext that was maybe a little more malicious, but maybe this
Yeah,
is a
and I
little bit of
don't
a
feel like
leftover
it
and
is.
it's not as
Yeah, I
malicious.
don't feel
I
like
don't know.
it is very malicious. Like, I looked at as crass as these
Oh,
movies
right.
are,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
did
yeah.
know times where it's like, if this movie was made even like 5 years before it was made, like this, it would have been a lot meaner. And
Hmm.
they feel like these jokes I don't get the sense that these movies are cynical or pessimistic. Like they're it's very lowbrow, but I Deadpool is still a character that you feel like has a lot more love in his heart than hate.
Yeah. And I mentioned that I don't know if that was something that was there in the character originally or
Mm,
not, because in the second movie, we also meet Cable. And Cable, very famously, is the one with all the pouches. Like when you think of
yes.
90s comics, you think of Cable with the pouches, right? That's what
What
you
if
think
cargo
of.
pants were a man?
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting because 90s comics were also very, very much about this like hyper masculine and like
Mhm.
hyper sexualized female characters. Uh,
Mhm.
Especially as Image Comics was getting started, you also saw that in a bunch of Marvel and DC comics. Like that was just the thing to do, and so that's why I'm questioning if that was in Deadpool's kind of original character, of
Mhm.
that kind of like, hey, it's okay to like as a guy like be in touch with your sexuality and be like, hey, that
Yeah.
guy is objectively good looking, he is
Mhm.
handsome, or stuff like that, or just to be out in the sense of, hey, it's
Mm.
okay to be bisexual. It's okay to be
Yeah.
gay. It's okay to be demisexual or asexual or who knows what. And like I don't see 90s comics doing that in a particularly great way, if that makes sense. So that's why I'm just like, I don't know if that was him. Especially if you have hyper masculine Cable who's just muscles and pouches.
Right.
And then there's Deadpool who's like, Spider-Man's so handsome. Like
let me play my Wham tapes.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know, but that is an interesting thought there. Deadpool 2. As I said now a few times, I do think this is absolutely a step up from the first film. That said, I also thought it started off very slow. So in my head, as I read the comics that we need to read for this show, or I watch the movies or the shows, I kind of take mental notes of like, okay, I kind of want to talk about this, or here's what my thought was at this scene, stuff like that. And in this movie, I was like, yeah, it started off real slow, but the second half of this movie really picked up. It was really, really good. And then I had to pause it to like go use the bathroom or something like that. And I paused it, and I was only halfway in. And so I was like, oh, so I guess, yeah, the opening of this movie, I guess I found so boring that I thought it took longer than it actually did. And I thought the like what was like the second fourth of the movie was the second half of the movie. I was like, this is about to wrap up, isn't it? And it's like, no, like you haven't even gotten anywhere near. Yeah,
not super long, but it is like a full 2 hours.
Yeah. It was just, it felt like it had a little bit of awkward pacing, but once it did pick up, like I was interested in what the movie was doing from that time forward. And yeah, I thought this was really strong. I thought the kind of family unit that he ends up building there was great. Zazie Beetz was fantastic in this as Domino. I liked how Cable, I think traditionally Cable plays this like Terminator style character, right? Who come back from the future to destroy the blah blah blah, but he ends up also like having this really kind of heartfelt moment in a strange way, because you don't necessarily see or get to know his family. I guess you could kind of say they were fridged, but you also don't see them, so they're kind of that much more of a non-entity, right?
They're purely theoretical.
Right, yeah, but he, like knowing what he did to go back in time and save Deadpool is also kind of this emotional beat to like know that like, hey, he saved his family, but now he's stuck, and now he like can't really help them until they figure out how to make this thing work again or power it somehow.
Which they do. That's the end of the movie. Is 2 teenage girls fix
Deadpool
it
takes it,
room.
Yeah. I mean, hey, they're smart. They're learning things in that Xavier school. You
learn everything at the Xavier school. He made sure, like, you're going to learn to control your powers. I'm also big into STEM.
Time travel devices 103, taught by whoever, I don't know. But
whose classes is that? Is that Bishop, who teaches time travel devices 103?
Actually, yeah. Bishop teaching that would be interesting. I could see Logan teaching that and just being a terrible teacher, just not knowing how to fix these things, and everyone just like, that sucks. but no, yeah, like I like there's a lot of heartfelt moments in this. Like
Yeah.
the kid, I don't know the actor's name, but he did phenomenal
Yes. Yeah.
this. Yeah, and like his story arc is both true and meta at the same time. Like the comic book industry does have a distinct lack of larger superhero, fat
Yeah.
superhero, right? Like
I
they just
liked
like
that.
there's just you don't see them that much. I can think of a few of them, but more often than not, they're kind of played for laughs or stuff, right? Like they're just not
Mhm.
at the forefront of the
Yeah.
like. This is the Justice League, and we had like they're not really
Right.
there.
No, none of them
Um,
are chubby. I don't.
yeah,
I can't look at Black Canary doesn't shop at the same clothing store I do.
right. Yeah, the only one that I can think of that is taken seriously is Faith from Valiant
You
Comics.
told me about
Um,
Faith. We're gonna read Faith one of these days.
yeah, um, uh, but yeah, for him to express that and be
Yeah.
like, hey, like there aren't fat super
Mm.
heroes. Why is that? Like they don't like me. They don't accept me. They don't like that is a real issue. But it's like it's also an issue outside of superhero stuff, of right, of
Mm.
just the clothing industry, of modeling, of Hollywood, of all sorts of stuff, right? Like you don't like that is a problem in issue that
Right.
we see. So it's both true in like a real life, like yes, I can see why you're upset, but also meta for like the comics specifically in
Yeah.
that stuff. So it works. It fits, and
And it's
I like that they did that.
yeah, and it's like one line that he has. Then you can see how that does feed into a lot of his frustration in the movie, where he's like, "There's no fat superheroes. Have you ever seen a fat X-Men?" But yeah, just this one line has a lot of sincerity in it. Like this is a movie where I think they did think very carefully about all of these characters.
Mhm.
Well, their journeys are like there's real purpose behind them, even if the purpose is just like Dupender is so inspired by Deadpool's tales of adventure, and he wants
Yeah.
to have that same like adventure and passion and camaraderie in his life. Also, by specifically being a mercenary, he's like, I also want to kill somebody. Like I do this. This is my goal. If I kill somebody, then I'm going to be let in on this whole exciting world of being in a brotherhood of heroes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's God, that like that is that is one of the best things about these Deadpool
Mm,
films is the attention to detail, but not just
yes.
detail in the way the characters are, but also just like the heart and sincerity that they put these details in there
Yeah.
with. They do some fantastic stuff with all of that.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, I like the expansion of the cast in the second movie. I like Negasonic Teenage Warhead and her girlfriend Yuki. Again, I feel like
Yukio,
a
I think.
handful of years ago, huh?
I think
Yukio?
it's Yukio. I
Okay,
think
okay, thank you.
I don't know.
I feel like a handful of years ago, the joke would have been like, "Oh, is she your girlfriend?" And now it's like, "Oh, you and your girlfriend are very cute together."
He has
I
this.
like that Deadpool's always like he is. He doesn't really talk to Yukio. They have nothing in common.
All
But
he
he's always like,
does is say hi.
but
He's
he's
like,
so
"Hi,
happy to say
Yukio."
he's so happy to say hi to her and get a hello back. Like their connection is shallow, but it is important.
Yeah, it reminded me. Have you ever seen the show Letter Kenny?
I've seen bits of it.
So there's a character in there. Her name is Bonnie McMurray, and all of the main cast kind of have this like like wistful crush on her in a way that they're just
Oh,
like, Bonnie McMurray. And like whenever she walks in, like that's their response is just like, Bonnie McMurray. And then she's always like, hi Wayne, and he's just like, hi, right? And like that's it. Like that is most of their relationship there. And that's exactly what they do in this too, where he's just like, hi Yukio, and she's like, hi Wayne. And that's
yeah.
it.
Yep.
So good stuff there. I liked it.
Yeah, I like that Deadpool's interactions with all the different characters in his life are different. Like him and the bartender, whose name we don't remember, they have a different relationship than him and
Weasel.
Dupinder, or like,
Yeah.
yeah, him
Oh,
and not Weird Al, Blind Al.
blind now. Yeah. Yeah. Just man, yeah. We have to talk about Dupinder real fast. Yeah, like he is, he is one of my favorite characters of the X-Men,
Mhm.
or not the X-Men films. He should
Make
be
him
one
an
of the X-Men.
X-Men.
Make him an
He's their
honorary X-Men,
chauffeur.
right?
Yeah. Somebody's going to drive those kids around. Not all of them have driver's licenses. What is Storm
Indeed.
going to take him to the movies every weekend? No,
She's not
Storm is
flying him.
busy.
Yeah.
Right.
No. But man, just the like his character journey, just from being this random cab driver to like Deadpool just doing his like chaotic shtick on him, like just immediately get into the heart of like, well, let me give you some advice, and
Yeah.
like, what's your jail here, right? And Dupinder ends up like kidnapping his brother-in-law. I forget exactly what his relationship was to this thing. This guy.
Cousin.
Yeah.
It's his cousin, and like they both had a crush on the same girl, and the girl picked the cousin.
So he kidnaps the cousin and like beats him up and all just because Wade Wilson it's like that's what you should do, like just like kind of hints but like
Right.
dismissively hints that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then Dupinder likes it, like he likes the like the rush of like, yeah, I just beat someone up, man, this is cool.
Mhm.
I wouldn't be an X-Men, right? Like I wouldn't be a superhero. And God, yeah, he like it just complete doesn't understand what it takes, what it's like to do all of that.
Mhm.
But it's just so eager and so happy to do all of that stuff. And he's now mopping floors at the bar as part of his training to become an assassin. And they're just like, what's your superpower? And he's like, courage. And that's he's so sincere too, like it's great, he's so sincere.
Yeah.
And that's his
I'd say
line at
that's
the end
true.
when he knocks the guy out with the cab. He steps out and he's just like,
Mhm.
courage, yeah. And we're just like, yes, Dupinder coming in clutch. It's great.
I love when he's driving everybody like to this orphanage for like the third act of the movie, and like somebody it makes a joke about him or something. Like Wade has to comfort him for some
Yeah.
comment, and he reaches over and kind of ruffles his hair. He like kind of leans into it, and like there's like another shot where you cut back to him, and he's still like just kind of petting his hair.
Yep. Yeah, God. Yeah, yeah, there are like small details in this like that I think on second and third viewings you can really find some hidden gems in, right? I'm just like,
Yeah.
I missed that little small detail. So
Yeah.
good stuff.
Like these are movies that definitely aren't for everybody. I don't like all the jokes in them, but
Yeah.
I do see that there is a lot of, we've said it over and over, there's care in this movie, there's passion, there's this
Mhm.
very close attention to detail, and I think that's it's very solid. Like I really admire how these movies are put together, even if I don't always admire exactly what they are. But I like the technique and the craftsmanship that goes into these Deadpool movies. I gotta mention the James Bond style opening credits of the second movie that
Great.
are
Celine
yeah,
Dion.
they're like
Amazing. I remember when
a
they
fellow Canadian. I'm
yeah,
happy
they
Ryan Reynolds getting another Canadian in there.
they did something when she recorded that song. They recorded a music video to that, I think, or some kind of like promotional little video
Mm.
where like she's on stage singing that like in the spotlight, like they're practicing, or she's like alone in the hall. There's like the spotlight on her, but it keeps like cutting back between her and then like Deadpool dancing and doing this just heartfelt dance routine to that. And it was like it was exactly what I expected it to be. And he does the whole like chair thing as the bullets are raining on him. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Great stuff where he is both the secret agent and the Bond girl in it. It's wonderful.
That is Deadpool. Like, that's a really great summation of this character. He's the man who wants to be James Bond and the Bond girl who sleeps with James Bond.
Yeah. Indeed. Good stuff. Deadpool 1 and 2 was a good watch. I had fun with them. Standard action films that got better as they went. So looking forward to Deadpool 3 whenever that might be, or whenever we might see Deadpool next.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Any other kind of final thoughts on Deadpool 1 and 2?
No, I think I've given them. If you haven't seen them before, check them out. Like, you might I think people will find something to like in these movies.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. I guess that means it is time for us to do bingo.
Bingo.
Let's see here, opening up my bingo card and bringing it up on screen. Let's see here.
Oh, we have a lot of needle drops, but I don't think any of them are to set the
Like,
time period.
Of the time period. Yeah, there's no time travel in that sense. They don't go back to the 80s or something like that. I want to make I should be able to see that penis fight. There is the scene when I don't remember what her name was in the first movie, but the actress unfortunately is Gina Carano, right? When her boob slips out and Colossus is like hey, you're like, and she's just like, oh, thanks, it's sweet. But they do the thing where like it's showing her, but it's blocked by his hand.
His hand. I did like that joke that, like, you know, her top unzips in the middle of a battle, and he's like, "We got to call a timeout. I'm not going to continue to fight you. I'm not going to continue to fight you in this state." She's like,
"You never see."
I recognize that. Thank you. That's very polite.
Yeah. You never see full boob.
Yeah, and I just Deadpool, whenever he has to like regenerate a body part, like the baby legs part in the second movie.
Yeah.
I do like the basic instinct where like you do see it for a second as he does the like leg uncross.
Yeah.
But since it's only the briefest flash, I feel like this is the movie where we could get. I know there's nudity here, but I can't see it. Especially because I put this on here in the spirit of Austin Powers, and this is the most Austin Powers we have gotten.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of surprised we didn't get like a diary entry with this one I feel like Deadpool keeps a diary, right?
Definitely. He's got a cartoon character
Colossus.
on it. Oh, one more detail, very small, that I like. That in the first movie, he has to like check the time, and he's got an Adventure Time watch, like a plastic kid's Adventure Time watch. And when he's dying in the second movie, he's like, "Domino, to you I leave my Adventure Time watch." And I like the follow through that, like, he didn't just get a watch that he thought was funny and cute. Like he apparently knows Adventure Time, is a
He
fan
just
of
likes
Adventure Time.
Adventure Time. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
Um.
Oh, do we have breaking the rules of time travel? There's wacky time travel in this, but I don't think there are any established
I don't think
rules
so.
to be broken. Yeah.
Because I put that down. So on my card, I put that down more specifically as meeting yourself thanks to time travel. But
yeah.
breaking the rules, I don't think they specifically broke any rules per se.
There are no rules.
There are no rules. No ghost, no numbers, no Hans Zimmer score, no spaceship AI, no character who connects to computers, no small town cop over their head, no Superman analog. Was there any kind of sex scene set to music? I don't think so.
Oh,
Or
yes,
not
yes.
one.
In the first movie, there's that calendar girl montage of him and Vanessa sleeping with each other for an entire year.
Yeah.
And like they're in different
Okay.
the costumes and different themes for each month or season. And I love that there's one shot
There
that's
is,
just the
yeah.
two of them just sitting there drinking coffee, reading books, and they turn to each other and they say, "Happy Lent."
Yeah. What was the song that the
It's
boys on
Calendar
there?
Girl.
Okay. So I'll mark that one down for me, because I have that one set to music that fits, which gives me another bingo.
Nice. Congrats.
I have 2 of them, and you have 2 of them, I think.
Yeah.
As well.
Yes. I'm close to some other ones, but yes, I have 2.
Yeah, you have 2. Haha, we're tied.
Oh wait, no, I have 3. I've got right down the middle, vertically.
Oh yeah, you
I've
do.
got the
You have 3.
second row, the second from the bottom row, and then I've got.
Dang, man.
Wait, no, I don't have a complete diagonal. No, I do just have 2. Okay.
1,
2.
2. I see 3 on yours. You have the very top across. You have the very middle down. And
Right, I
then
do. That's right. Okay.
you have another one
I gotta
across.
make my
That's
screen bigger.
second one from
I can't see the
bottom.
entire thing at once. Okay, I'll make it a little smaller. You're right. Yeah, I do have 3.
So I'm 1 behind. Okay. Well, there you go. That's bingo for this week here. Let me get rid of that guy and switch us back over here to the podcast. Cool. Melissa, let's do recommendations. If people liked Deadpool, what else might they enjoy?
I watched a movie the other night called They Came Together. Have you ever heard of this?
I have not.
This is a movie from the team that brought you my beloved Wet Hot American Summer.
Okay.
That is a spoof on romantic comedies. It is like an exact by the book, checking all the boxes, like romantic comedy. Self-aware. Like it's Paul Rudd and Amy Poehler talking to this other couple at dinner about, yeah, it's wild. It's like our romance is exactly like a romance movie. I was a clumsy small business owner with big dreams. And I was this corporate guy, always running around with my briefcase. Like it's very self-aware. It's just as silly as Wet Hot American Summer, but like
that's awesome.
Romantic comedies are the space that it's playing in. I would recommend either of these movies just in the spirit of a movie that is very aware of the genre tropes that it is playing with and is sort of approaching them in this meta way. Just another like really good parody comedy. I watched this on HBO Max. I think it just left. It was expiring at the end of April, but please find They Came Together. It is hysterical. Like there's a joke in that movie that I can't believe I've never seen done before. That like broke my head, and I had to rewind it. And I'm like, did you just do that? Did that happen?
Interesting. Okay. Good stuff. Good recommendation there. let's see. So we covered some She-Hulk comics way back in the day
good.
from Dan Slott. I will look up what number those were as I'm talking here. But She-Hulk is also another character in the Marvel universe that is often fourth wall breaking. And we'll do that kind of meta narrative thing and talk to you or play with the comic book medium in the sense that they'll jump from one panel to the next or in interesting, neat ways there. So we read a bit of She-Hulk from Dan Slott, and that was episode 74. We covered that back in 2019. But if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was John Byrne's She-Hulk that kind of took her into that fourth wall meta narrative space.
Okay.
And I've heard great things about that run. So I also think with She-Hulk getting her own Disney Plus show in the near future here, that might be one you want to check out. Might not be exactly like Deadpool, but just in the spirit of that fourth wall breaking character. Might want to check out some of She-Hulk there.
Nice.
Do I have any other?
I think Emperor's New Groove is a solid recommendation.
Honestly, yes. Yeah, Emperor's New Groove. Seriously, what a great movie. One of my favorite Disney ones. That and Goofy Movie are my two favorites.
Two of the best. The two finest comedies in Disney's portfolio.
Yeah, absolutely. Trying to think other. Is there other? I can't think of anything right now. I know the kind of from what I've heard good things about a character called Gwenpool, which is in all of the like variant covers that all of the comic books do. They had a Spider-Man one or a Spider Gwen comic where one of the variant covers was Gwen Stacy, but as Deadpool. So she's this like white, pink, and black looking character. And I've actually heard really good things about that character, like would surprise you of just like how kind of gimmicky and stupid the character sounds of like, it's an eye-rolly character. It's Deadpool mixed with this Gwen Stacy variant that kind of stupid.
So many levels removed.
Right, yeah, but then like I've heard some people that I trust their opinion on comics of like whether or not it's good to be like, we've actually read this and holy shit, it's actually good. Like what they did with this is good. So maybe also check out some Gwenpool there. And of course, Spider-Man. Same
Spider-Man.
Similar kind of humor sometimes, I feel like. But yeah. There you go. That's what I would recommend there. All right. Melissa, it is your turn to do the pitches.
It is.
What have you got for me this week?
To celebrate your 1 month here in Oklahoma, I've got 3 movies set in Oklahoma.
Oh, hey, there you go.
It's about time we marked the occasion. I was waiting to see if you would do it. And I'm like, well, I'll just have to Google them myself.
That probably wouldn't have been a theme that I thought of, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Pitch number 1 is Twister.
Twister.
Which doesn't have an exclamation mark at the end of it, but in my head, it always does. Twister. You know, it's Twister. Have you seen Twister?
I've seen bits and pieces from when I was younger and it was on TV all the time, but I've never sat down to actually watch the whole thing. But I've seen enough bits and pieces to kind of know the gist of it.
I watched it for the first time last year. It's a very solid action movie, thriller. movie. I
Action
don't.
disaster.
The action. Yeah, disaster. Like the action and thrills are all from tornadoes.
Yeah.
There's not a larger mystery. There's not a gunfight or anything. It's just, can we track down and study these tornadoes? And whoops, we have to get away from the tornadoes. Really impressive set pieces, like a technically very outstanding movie.
Mhm.
It's Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton. They're both storm chasers. They divorced recently, or they're in the process of divorcing. They haven't seen each other in a while. He comes back. He's like, I got to get one more signature from you on these papers. And then
Yeah.
they get wrapped up in storm chasing, where he's like, we're separated, but if you're gonna go chase down that storm, I also want to see the storm. Like she's going to use some piece of equipment that to like test it out to get, storm statistics that like
Storm
they
readings.
co-designed. Yeah. I don't know what else to say. It's storm chasing. Lots of fun character actors are in it. The late Philip Seymour Hoffman,
There you
like
go.
two
Yeah.
guys from Lost. It's great.
Cool.
Twister.
Cool.
Good
stuff. Good stuff.
Pitch number 2. Footloose. Kick off your Sunday shoes, Kyle. This is a movie. I've never seen the movie that Peter Quill calls the greatest movie ever made, but I have seen the stage musical. So I thought maybe it's about time I watched the movie. Have you ever seen it?
I have not. No.
It's Kevin Bacon, and he moves from big town to Chicago to some little town in Oklahoma where John Lithgow has outlawed dancing, and he's like, but I'm gonna dance, and he's like, no, you're not, and he's like, just watch me. I'm gonna go dance alone in a warehouse and inspire everybody else in the town to dance. Your daughter will dance.
Interesting.
That's basically what it is.
Okay.
I didn't really look up any of these movies. I'm like, yeah, I think I know what that is. You've heard of them.
Yeah.
Right. It's Footloose.
Cultural osmosis.
Yeah. Pitch number 3. This is a movie. I just completely forgot the story was set in Oklahoma. So this was a very fun surprise for me. It's The Outsiders.
Oh, interesting.
Known. Yeah, I read this in 7th grade English class. Did you read and or watch The Outsiders as a youth?
I did not. I've seen it around, but this is of the 3 that you've pitched, this is the one that I know the least about.
Okay. Well, I brought up the actual synopsis for this because my memory of it is a little fuzzy now. A teen gang in rural Oklahoma, the Greasers, are perpetually at odds with the Socials, a rival group. When Greasers, Ponyboy, and Johnny, this is a movie where that guy stays golden. Maybe you've heard about that.
Yeah. So I think we actually did read like an abridged version of this because
It's not very long.
Well, then I don't know. Maybe we did read the whole thing because it was super short. And once you were like the Greasers and the whatever the next one was, I was like, the Socias. I kind of remember that.
Ponyboy and Johnny get into a brawl that ends in the death of a Soch, and the boys are forced to go into hiding. Soon, Ponyboy and Johnny, along with the intense Dallas and their other Greaser buddies, must contend with the consequences of their violent lives. While some Greasers try to achieve redemption, others meet tragic ends. This is directed by Francis Ford Coppola and stars a bunch of young actors of the time. Matt Dillon, Ralph Macchio, Rob Lowe is Soda Pop, Patrick Swayze, Tom Cruise, Emilio Estevez. Everybody's in the motion picture, Kyle. Tom Waits, Sophia Coppola.
You know what I was confusing this movie with?
What'd you think it was?
The Warriors.
Warriors is different. Nobody puts glass bottles on their hands and clacks them around in this movie. The one thing I know that's in the Warriors.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the Warriors. But that's when you mentioned that, that's immediately what my mind went to. No.
Yeah. The Outsiders is it's a cautionary tale of like teenage gangs in this like class war with a different gang, and they get in over their heads and they realize what are our problems? What are we really arguing about? How different are we? Can we come to terms about this? We can't keep living like this.
Yeah.
I remember reading and liking the book in 7th grade, and I think we saw the movie, or maybe we saw part of the movie, but I've been wanting to go back and watch this movie again for a while.
I gotcha. Well, let's see. So I have to say The Outsiders is not gonna be my pick
Duh.
because I think you brought two really interesting genres kind of that we haven't really covered on the review show
Yeah,
yet.
that's true.
Disaster movies and dance movies. Like we haven't done
You're
like
right.
dance centered
Not
stuff,
a musical, but a dance movie. You're right.
right? We haven't watched any of the Step Up films. we haven't watched we haven't watched Barakin or Barakin 2 or like all that stuff, right? Like none of those. Like we have the whole dance genre that we haven't touched. We haven't watched The Day After Tomorrow,
Yeah.
2012.
You're right. This is I
None of that
wasn't even
stuff.
thinking of
So-
it like this. Yeah, these are new genres to us. Dance and disaster.
should mix those genres. Disaster dance
Oh my
movie.
god. Earthquake in a dance studio. Can you dance your way out?
Right? Yeah. No. So I think I'm gonna go with Twister. Is the one that
Okay.
I'm gonna go with because within the first week of me moving out here to Oklahoma, of course I have never experienced a tornado in real life. Within that first week, Richmond, Virginia, where I moved away from, got a tornado warning. And I was just like, I swear I didn't send it. It wasn't me.
Yeah.
And then last week
Me
we
and the
had
tornado have switched places. Now that I live in
Right, yes.
Oklahoma, a tornado just lives perpetually in Richmond, Virginia.
exactly. That's exactly what happened. And then last week we had a storm where the tornado sirens were going off and stuff like that. And it was interesting to me because, again, I've never been in a tornado, so I don't know exactly what to expect or like how to react in situations, like what's bad, what's kind of normal, all that stuff. So I was totally calm. It just looked like it was raining outside. Like I was fine. My girlfriend was freaking out. Just like, we need to watch the news. We need to do this. Like, where's the safest spot in the house? And I was just like, I'm just going to sit here and watch TV because I don't understand what's happening. So
Honestly, like you're either directly in the path or you're not. Like it's a very binary thing, a tornado. I don't think I've ever been in a situation where we were at risk of some tornado damage. I've been in the basement plenty of times. Every Midwestern child knows this. It gets loud, you go in the basement, but then you just like sit there and like watch you and your family play Monopoly or something. Then after a while, you go back upstairs and it's like, oh, there's some branches on the ground.
Yeah.
I've been very lucky though. Tornadoes have happened. They're very, very destructive. They've torn apart a lot of parts of Missouri, but I've been very fortunate, knock on wood, that it hasn't happened to me, which is the allure of the movie Twister for me, that it is this beautiful, truly unique force of nature. Like it is a marvel to behold, but it's also, yes, this could kill us. This could destroy an entire town.
Absolutely. So I think Twister is the one we should do for this next week.
Yes.
So
I don't know where you can watch Twister, but I'm
We'll
sure it's
figure it
available
out.
somewhere.
if not, I'm sure we
Maybe
can
there's-
rent it.
You
Rent
can
it on
maybe
Amazon.
there's just a channel in Oklahoma that just plays it on a loop forever as part of Oklahoma culture. I don't know.
Who knows? Yeah, it plays that and Footloose and The Outsiders and the
Right.
stage
Oklahoma.
play of
Exclamation
Oklahoma.
mark.
Yeah. Just
Oh, it might
on a
be.
loop.
Oh, it might be on HBO Max right now.
Okay.
That's helpful.
that
or
works.
Tubi. I also have to recommend that you go to YouTube and you look up Twister, Ride It Out, which was an attraction at Universal Studios.
Okay. Will do. All right. Well, that about wraps us up for this week here on the Whatnots review show. So, Melissa, where can the people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Wilkywit. That's WILKYWIT. And listen to my other podcast, Saturday Morning Obscurities, show where me and my brother Jams talk about weird old kids shows you feel like only you remember. I think our last episode was Where's Wally, which is a Where's Waldo cartoon, but he's called Wally in other parts of the world.
Interesting. Good stuff.
It's the striped shirt man you know and love. You have to find him.
If you guys want to stay up to date with me, I'm at Kyle Springer on Twitter. If you guys want to follow us here at The Whatnots, we are at The Whatnots on Twitter. So please go like, share, and subscribe. That would help us out a ton to spread the word. But that wraps us up for this week. So we will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.